Well, American Psycho is one of my favorite movies of all time. As materialistic as the character Patrick Bateman was, the one thing that he's wearing pretty much in every scene of the movie is his watch, which is a Rolex Datejust reference number 16013. Beautiful, beautiful watch. Looks just like this watch that I'm wearing right now. It was synonymous, like that particular reference number Rolex was synonymous with Patrick Bateman and his watch. But turns out, due to the advancement of, higher resolution home video, we could actually zoom in and see that it was not a Rolex, it was actually a Seiko 5 SNXJ90, this watch right here. Let's go on and unbox the watch so you can see me check it out for the first time. So I'm pretty excited about this package. If you already seen the intro to this video, you probably know what it is. This is the real American Psycho Patrick Bateman watch. I'm a pretty big fan of American Psycho. I believed this until recently, until I did a little more digging, because I've always been into American Psycho, and I've always been for all I knew, I always thought that the watch he wore was obviously a Rolex Datejust, or reference number 16013. It's not a Rolex, it is a Seiko. And specifically, it is this Seiko. This is Seiko reference number SNXJ90. This model is no longer being made anymore, so it's incredibly hard to find. In fact, I think this thing retailed at $350. I paid above that. I paid about a little over $400 for this thing, plus tax and shipping. I bought it on eBay. This is like a new old stock model that was just basically a display model that was, people tried it on and stuff, but it wasn't regularly used. So it's basically in new condition. So I sort of paid a premium just to get such a nice example of this watch. And I honestly think this watch this could theoretically sort of become a collector's item, even though it sort of is, because it's already going up in price. Used models that are in pretty poor condition are pretty much getting almost MSRP for this watch. Obviously, because it has this very striking Rolex Datejust look. It's a Rolex Datejust homage, and this is the watch that was featured, like I mentioned earlier. This is featured in American Psycho. So they want to make you think that he's wearing a Rolex 16013. I mean, I'm sure that is the watch that he was wearing in the book, but basically Rolex, long story short, Rolex didn't want to be associated with with that movie production, so they did not allow them to wear the Rolex. There is some anecdotal evidence that supports this theory. I have pretty good close-ups of Justin Theroux's character. I think his name was Timothy Bryce. Justin Theroux played this character named Timothy Bryce, which is one of Patrick Bateman's best friends, and he was wearing the exact same watch. And I got a really good close-up of that one, and it is 100% this exact watch. And I honestly, the fact that it is no longer being made, it has that beautiful Rolex look to it, and it has the connection to the movie, would make it. I think it's gonna go up in value, maybe. Again, this is totally speculative, and even if it doesn't, I think it's an awesome watch, and I'm going to keep it stock. I'm not going to remove even though this bracelet is not very good. It's a Seiko bracelet from that's I mean, it's not terrible, but it's definitely, I would compare it to some of my other 7S26 movement Seikos that I have, which I'm going to break out in a moment. But yeah, let's take a closer look at the dial here. Damn, what a nice silver sunburst dial. PVD coated, looks like applied markers. It looks like there's a little bit of lume that are right on top of each applied marker. Obviously, this is a PVD coated watch. It's not real gold. One thing to note about the dial, other than it's a really nice sunburst finish, you have the Seiko 5 symbol, the old school Seiko 5 symbol. Actually, watch check. I'm wearing my Seiko Dress KX here. And as you can see, they kind of switched to like a Superman style Seiko 5 symbol for this one. And this one, you got the old school one, similar to my SNK L15. I believe this is the SNK L15. This is honestly one of my, I would say this is probably my favorite Seiko. And it really, it's basically the same, it's very, very similar watch. The lugs are a little different in this one. I think this is a slightly older model. One interesting thing to note about is the date. The date, you know, it does have a day-date complication, but the day is displayed in Roman numerals. That's not something you see every day, which is kind of cool. So I'm gonna see, I'm moving the date. Yeah, there's Wednesday. So you can do it. You can do Roman numerals, or you can do the actual, normal way, which is just like how I have it here. So yeah, this is obviously this also has a 7S26 movement, workhorse movement. These things basically run forever. I mean, anecdotally, they'll run for 10 years plus without being serviced. And this watch is something I might actually service one day. I think it's something I might want to keep going because I actually do think, like I said, it might turn out to be some kind of a collector's item, especially if you're a really big Seiko fanatic like I am. I believe this is my 7th Seiko watch right now. I guess I am officially a Seikopath at this point. Let's talk a little bit about the case. So the case appears to be like a brushed, let me zoom in a little, give you a better. So the case is somewhat brushed, looks like linear brushing throughout. Very nicely finished, given the price. This is a pretty cheap watch. Probably back in the day, you could probably get these for over $100. Now I just paid over $400 for this thing, which is pretty crazy. Honestly, I was really close to not doing it, to not pulling the trigger. But I thought, you know, how often do you see one of these? And I honestly love. I've been watching American Psycho. I mean, it was put out the year that I graduated from high school, so I think it's one of Christian Bale's best performances. I really like that movie. But so yeah, I had the connection with the movie and the fact that it's a Seiko. I love Seiko, and it's such a nice Rolex homage by one of my favorite brands that I just couldn't pass it up. And, and honestly, I do think these might become collector's items one day. But so very nice brush finished. The bracelet's, it's pretty cheap, honestly. But again, I'm not going to change it. I want to keep this thing stock, just to keep it genuine, keep it how it was presented in the movie, and then just enjoy it for what it was. Really, I think I'm not going to mess with this one. I'm considering this somewhat special. This has a very simple clasp mechanism with a signed. Looks like, interestingly, like signed there with Seiko. Very simple press to point here. There you got to look at the workhorse 7S26 movement, which this thing is probably really old, and I bet I'm going to put it in the timegrapher, and I bet it's pretty darn accurate. I'm sure you just give it a Seiko shuffle and it'll start right up immediately. But yeah, I'm not gonna mess with this one. I'm actually not gonna wear it very much. I want to sort of keep it pristine. So this one might be a little weird for. I'm gonna wear this once in a while. Oh, I forgot to mention. Look at that beautiful fluted bezel right there. Need I say more? What a nice watch. And anyway, so let me break out the other Seikos that I want to talk about. I'm gonna zoom out a little. So I'm gonna go through my little collection here of 7S26s that are somewhat similar. And here, so this is the SNK-L15, the SNK-393. So I just wanted to demonstrate how you can have somewhat different watches and similarly sized watches with very similar cases and have a completely different look. If you just change the bezel or change the dial a little bit, you got a completely new and different watch. And this watch kind of shows that. And I feel like these, I feel like I have the perfect trio. I have the nice, steel and gold. I got the Rolex, more rugged looking Rolex Explorer one. This watch is on an Uncle Seiko President bracelet. I think it's for the Bellmatic, and it fits it nicely. And I feel this was on a leather strap, and I took it off of it. Look at that. It's such a nice combination here with a beautiful President, nicely finished President bracelet here. Nothing special. I mean, it's very, very similar. As far as the clasp mechanism, it's similar to my new Seiko there, the SNXJ90 down there, and again my favorite Seiko, the SNK-L15. with those really nice, very grand Seiko looking hands. And I've you know, mentioned this watch on the channel various times. I think the SNK390 is a little more similar to the new watch, even though I think the lug to lug on the new one is a bit longer. So I feel like this one would probably wear a little bigger, which is good because this one kind of wears small. But that's why I kind of needed to put it on the bracelet, because on the leather strap it did feel a little small on my wrist, but the leather bracelet it makes it feel a little bigger than it is. So I just wanted to give you a couple of measurements of this thing. I don't know if there are many of these. These are not everywhere. These are not easy to find, like I mentioned. I don't even know if there's a video with the measurements of this thing, but my guess it's very thin, about 11 millimeters thick. I just turned off the light to give you a kind of like a more of a, this is how it would look at like normal room lighting. I actually think it looks better like this. So yeah, let me give you a lug to lug here real quick. I think it's like 42. It's very small. I'm looking at about a 42. Cool thing about these is you can measure them like right through the middle, because the crown's at 4 o'clock. So, and we got 36 millimeters right there. So perfect, exact proportions of a 36 millimeter Datejust. So that is the nice little wrist shot there. Again, not the biggest watch on earth, but it certainly looks like $1 million, this thing. And it certainly fooled a lot of people for decades that this was actually Rolex and American Seiko. Obviously, this watch is pretty hard to get, but there are other alternatives. If you want to get a Seiko 5 with very similar proportions and very similar look, maybe not the fluted bezel, but I'm going to put a couple of options down in the description. Jomashop has a couple of them available right now at a much more reasonable price than this. We're talking like $165, $180, and you get yourself a nice Seiko 5 with very similar proportions that looks like $1 million like this one. So if you're interested, you can check that out down in the description. So I did a serial number search on this watch, and from what I could see, it was either produced in 2002 or 2012. My guess, I mean, in either case, it's either 20 years old or about 10 years old. And I mean, this is a new old stock watch, and look, it's at +5 seconds. Look at that super high, really good amplitude. I've had this going on my winder for a couple of days now, so it's nice and wound up. So there it goes to show you that this is at least 10 years old, and it's still pretty darn accurate. Well, if you found this video entertaining at all, and maybe it broadened your horizons of what you thought, maybe it made you appreciate American Seiko, maybe you'll check out the movie. Who knows? Highly recommend the movie, by the way. It'd be really great if you can like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.